The average person spends at least an hour a day just looking for information. Can you imagine what it would be like to gain back an hour a day, 5 hours a week? What would you do with that time? Read a book, go for a walk, exercise, spend more time with your kids, have some little downtime. What would you want to do with that time? Sorting through piles of paper is likely not on the top of your to-do list. I have organized mountains of paper and helped my clients get through it in a really quick and fast way. Yes, it takes a little bit of time and a little bit of muscle, but I'm going to show you how to do it the easy and simple way with my top organizing strategies. So it isn't a daunting, overwhelming, and frustrating task for you. The number one mistake people make is they set up this elaborate filing system. If that doesn't make sense to you, you're not going to be able to find the information that you're looking for. The number one strategy that I use is we decide how we want to retrieve the information. Notice how I didn't say how to file it. And that's where we will set up a physical paper system that works for you. It's customized for the way you want to process and find your papers. Remember, we want to gain back that hour a day. The first strategy is you want to start with the visible piles first. If you were to go into closets, into your desk drawers, under the desk, or an attic, you're not going to deal with the visible piles first. You want to start with visible. So if it's on your dining room table, if it's on the top of your desk, maybe it's on a corner or an island in your kitchen, maybe it's piling up on the stairs or in your bedroom, wherever. Pick one spot, and that is where we're going to start. Now, if you want to, you could just walk around your house with a laundry basket and you could collect all the piles of paper and bring them all into one place. You see the progress in these clear surfaces. It gives you a little bit more motivation and inspiration because you see this dramatic visible result. And all I'm doing is I'm making decisions on what the next actions are. And I'm going to get into that in a moment. Tip number 2 is I want you to gather your supplies. Let's get some bins or some baskets. You could just have shoe boxes, whatever you have lying around, it doesn't matter, but get 4 or 5 of them. Get some Post-it notes and a pen and you're good to go. Now, I want you to label them to file, action, shred, recycling, and other room. So go ahead and do that. Now that you're set up for success, let's go to the first pile of paper. Tip number 3, I use this acronym called FAST. This is my secret strategy. I've been using this for 2 decades with my clients and they love it. FAST stands for File, Act, Schedule, or Toss. So what do I mean by that? If you think about it, when you have these piles of paper that they're lying around on your desk, there's typically a next action that you need to take, and we want to clarify what that next action is. It could be, do I need to file this? That's why it's sitting around, but maybe I don't have the right filing system or I haven't had the time. Great, let's put it in the file box. The second action is, do you need to take action? Then let's put it in the action box. Maybe you just need to schedule it into your calendar. Maybe you have an invitation or tickets or concert that you're going to. Let's put it in the schedule pile. As you're going through the papers, you may find some things that you just can recycle. Let's put it in recycling. Or maybe it's confidential information and you want to shred it. It goes in the shred box. So you can see when you're going through your piles of paper, now you have a decision-making process: file, act, schedule, toss. Now we're not filing papers away at this time. All we're doing is a quick sort. That is the secret to organizing. If you could just go through one pile of paper and just go file, act, schedule, toss, file, act, schedule, toss, you will get through that pile of paper so quickly, you'll be sending me a thank you. Tip number 4 is my little secret that I'm doing behind the scenes, and that is look through your pile of paper and see what is thick and bulky. You want to pull those out. All the thick magazines, the binders, the thicker documents. It's really easy to see your pile go down, and it's so rewarding. You're like, wow, my pile literally shrunk. My clients will say, wow, I had no idea that 5-inch pile is now down to 2 inches. That's motivation to keep going and sorting your paper. If they're magazines, maybe you want to keep them. Let's group them all together, or you're going to recycle them. If they're bulky newspapers, or you have thick file folders, or a bound document, let's pull all those out, make a decision, file, act, schedule, or toss. You've got the baskets, you know what to do with them. Now that you've sorted your piles of paper, tip number 5 is we want to start to create your action file system. Well, it looks different for everyone, and there's different ways you can set it up. I'm going to show you how to customize it. An action file system is a system that either is stacked, or it could be bins, it could be magazine holders, it may be a bulletin board or a magnetic board where you pin up the papers, your invitations for reminders or kids' school papers. It doesn't really matter what it is, but you want one area to deal with all of your papers that you need to take action on today, tomorrow, next week, or next month. If you take your action box now and go through that and you look at the piece of paper, what I want you to do is on a post-it note or write on that piece of paper, just write down the next 2 or 3 actions. Typically it's a call, email, you need to discuss something maybe with your partner or your husband. So what we're doing is we're now going to group actions together. And so your action filing system could be as simple as, these are things that I'm waiting to hear back on, or I need to discuss with my husband, or I need to talk. If you're a business owner, I have one that says discuss bookkeeper. I get these pieces of paper, or I have a reminder note. I can just throw it in that folder. When I want to sit down and talk to my husband, I can just pull it all out and it's all right there. Other typical actions as you're sorting through your piles of paper, which I see all the time, is passwords, a place for all of your gift certificates, so then when you do want to use them, they're all grouped together. Another action file that you may want to have is one for each of your kids. Just use their name, and this is where you have invitations, doctor's appointments, important papers that you want to refer to in the future, and you know exactly where they are. They're in their particular folder. The next step is you want to think about, where do you want to set up your command center? Is it going to be a section in your kitchen? It could be a cupboard. It could be in the closet. You want to pick one location to deal with all of the incoming papers, wherever that makes sense for you. Once you've decided where it is, your command center, you can make it as pretty as you want using whatever types of products you want to use. You're going to need an in tray or a pretty basket or a bin. It doesn't matter what it looks like. Make it as pretty as you want and as functional as you want. If you get your mail delivered to your house, pick it up, quickly sort through it, and recycle the papers that you don't need. The papers that you do need to deal with, that's where you want to put them in your in basket. So when you sit down to process your papers, you're simply just going to go, what's the next action? File, act, schedule, or toss. You've got it all handled now because you have your paper management system set up. You want to have some sort of filing system. These are things that you're going to refer to from time to time. They could be warranties, receipts, important insurance papers, medical information. You can have a file cabinet, you can have magazine holders, you can use the binder system. Doesn't really matter. You get to pick how it's going to look, because remember, the key to finding your information is, how do you want to retrieve it? So what is the easiest? I used to use a binder system many years ago, but I didn't like the process of having to 3-hole punch all my pieces of paper. And what I noticed was everything was getting stuffed in the front of the binder. So I changed to a filing system and gone more paperless over the years, but it has been a process. It's so easy for me to find stuff, and I color coordinated that yellow is for household, blue is for business. And I literally have gone from a 6-file drawer cabinet to 2 small file drawers, and I just got a nice little white filing cabinet, and it's hiding actually over there in the corner, and it's easy for my husband and I to go in there to access what we need when we need it. Tip number 7 is to go paperless when possible. If you have a lot of paper and you want to digitize and go paperless, it is going to take a process. So what I recommend is you have another bin or a basket and label it to scan, and just maybe spend 30 minutes a week to scan a section of documents and file those away in your new computer system. What I use is my phone to scan a couple of documents, but if you have more papers, you could use your printer, or you could use what my favorite product is, the Scan Snap. Make sure you go paperless as much as possible with your bills, your statements, all of that, so that at the end of the year, you don't have to deal with all this paper. Remember, if you're a business owner, there are some pieces of paper that you need to keep physically, or you're going to keep those in a digital format. Tip number 8 is to develop a good habit for dealing with your paper. So pick one time during the week that makes sense for you. It's probably not going to be Friday afternoon. Maybe it's Sunday evening. Maybe on Wednesday. Just pick a date and a time that works for you and that you're going through your in tray and you're processing your paper. Tip number 9, if you have a backlog of paper where you've got boxes and boxes of paper and filing cabinet drawers, then what I suggest is you schedule time into your calendar to deal with those. You want to plan it out and say, by X amount of months, I want to have gone through the storage room or the storage locker or the attic, wherever those boxes of paper are. Just have a deadline and then work your way back. If you plugged away and you just took 30 or 60 minutes every week and you're sorting one box at a time, one shelf at a time, 10 binders at a time, just pick a section and do it in small doable chunks. And over time you will see how your boxes will go down, your paper clutter will be out of your life. Tip number 10 is get family members involved. They can help you, and then maybe your husband or your partner can help you sort through your papers once a week. If one of you can deal with that, maybe you alternate months, maybe you alternate weeks, or maybe somebody just says, you know what, that's something I can do. You do all the meal prep, I'll deal with the paper. I'm so happy if somebody wants to do that. And you do a trade-off. But tell people how your paper management system is working. By implementing these strategies, you are going to keep clutter piles at bay, and it's going to be super easy for you to find the information when you need it. Remember, decluttering your paper is an ongoing process. The less paper you have, the less paper you need to process. And that has been my number one goal, is to minimize the amount of paper that comes into my life because I don't want to deal with it. Don't get discouraged, because I'm here to help you. If you have any questions around your paper, post a comment and I will be there to support you.